Welcome everyone. We are going to cover in this video interaction spaces. I feel like one of the most important considerations is having a really killer trailer and yard. Noises, sounds, smells, lighting, the colors of the walls, like all of these things go into what I would consider an environment that would either increase or decrease our mental health. When I say that is, can we go spend good time in our office spaces, in our interaction spaces, and get our best work done and be as productive as we possibly can. Now, I'll anchor you back to a time when I was at the research laboratory. We were able to do 8 trailers, and this was a $100 million job. And we had one segment over here, which was for the bathrooms, and then we were able to get this other section over here for the lunch area. Most companies, we don't have the luxury of doing this. So your lunch area will probably be a tent or some kind of shaded area where there's tables, they can wash their hands. Maybe there's some microwaves, place to put their lunchbox. Bathrooms, even if you do have the honey buckets, those plastic porta potties, they'll be shaded, they'll be clean, there'll be a hand wash station. So even if you don't get to build these inside of a trailer, they need to be nice. I do want to anchor back to the winning the workforce video. These are key considerations when it comes to interaction spaces. But let's go ahead and talk about the trailer in general. And this is the ideal. I always believe even if we're on a $1 million job, a $10,000 job, or a $20 million job, or a $560 million job, the pattern should remain the same, but we scale it to whatever size. In this trailer, as soon as somebody came into the parking lot, I will say that there was a fence, and the first thing that they saw were painted nice stalls where people could park. So that's number one. Why would that be a big deal? That's immediately showing a level of care and organization and predictability and getting people used to a stable site. When they came in, there were signs on the trailer that said this is what job site this is, and it also said front entryway check-in with an arrow in this direction, and there was a path to come over here into the entry door. Simple things, but every one of these signs should be designed properly to get people where they want to go. On the back side, there was an ice machine and a potable water. So when you came in this direction, there was a sign that says, PPE required, and this way to the ice and the potable water. So if somebody was coming into the office, like a supervisor, and workers were welcome too, but if a supervisor was coming in, great. If workers were coming, they knew exactly to come over here to get their ice and their water. The first thing that you saw inside the trailer were the safety, the federal and state. So I'll just write federal and state notifications. And then we also saw permits. So if somebody came in, they knew on the right and on the left, hey, these are our safety postings, our permits, we have a right to be here. If you took a right, this was the kitchen, so I'll put a K. There was a conference room and then a storage room inside the research laboratory. The restrooms were up here on the front. One of these days, by the way, we have to get these restrooms to where the doors are on the outside. That stuff facing on the inside, but these were the restrooms on the inside, and then there was a really nice conference room to the side. First thing, people would check in. Our office administrator, our project administrator was right there. If they were coming in here for orientations, they got their stickers, their packets, and they would immediately be routed to the conference room to the right. So everything was designed to have flow. The workers are either getting their stuff and then coming out here to the huddle, or people were coming in to get oriented, or foremen were coming in to our huddles, which a different time would happen in those same conference rooms. In this space, this is where the general contractor was. This is where the trade partners were. If we're ever on a large enough job, and I'm thinking $40 million plus, you can have your trade partners in the same trailer and the GC staff in the same trailer. There were a couple of really neat things that I want to show you though inside that trailer, and I'll use the video to point it out. But I will say on this wall, we had a family wall where we had our pictures of our family. We had on the ceiling reminders of the culture that we were attempting to build. We had an orientation screen and a plan table over here. We had our planning area to where the GC and the trade partners would come together and we would plan together. So everything about this interaction space was designed to do a couple of things, and I'll write it down. It was designed to be inviting. It was designed to be visual. It was designed to create interaction among the people. And when we talk about signage, visual systems, what we want are self-guiding, self-improving, self-educating environments to where people can do their best work. Now I'm going to go ahead and pivot. This is just an overview. The point is that we designed that trailer to be inviting, visual, and to have interaction. And I would also say to create flow among the people. So this is a quick video that I shot when I was on that job, and I didn't realize that it was going to be this much of a topic later on. I'm just going to go through some clips. This is Jake Smaley. I was able to work with him. This is Brent Elliott. Elliott. This was when I worked at DPR. This board right here on the back wall, this is where we did our pull planning and our weekly work planning. These things would slide back and forth. Brent, as he goes through here, he shows you how those slide. These tracks can be bought at like Home Depot, Lowe's. Behind there are some whiteboards where you could do detailed planning. You could put site maps up, whatever. If you finished a week or a set of 4 weeks or 3 weeks, you could readjust those boards to get in the proper order so you could plan. Really neat stuff. As you look here, Brent, on the back side, you'll see that there's a map here. That's us planning with the concrete contractor on what we could do to go ahead and strategize and get through the efforts. Here, as he opens up the center, that was an hour by hour schedule that we were doing for concrete to make sure that we were coordinating the rod buster, the formwork contractor, the placing crew, and the crane usage. So really, really cool stuff. At this same spot, we had these rolling TVs where we could pull up the schedule from any computer. We could show the site logistics map, whatever we wanted. So this was something else that we were able to mobilize and move into different parts of the trailer so that we could show what we needed to show and make sure that we were educating the way we needed to do so. Behind that, over here was Brent's inspection and safety wall. So he would put all of his inspections that were going to happen on a constant basis, schedule them there, safety walks and other things. He had a very visual wall for that. So as you go around the room, you'll see that we had these really nice desks. So even if you have just a small trailer, a mobile mini, something like that, I highly recommend getting those plan table chairs. You can build those desks pretty cheap, and just having a really nice space for you to work in front of your computer. You see that little mitered corner where you have some extra space. You've got leg room, you've got storage space. If you don't want to sit down, like maybe you get a little bit sleepy, you can either sit like they're sitting or you can stand up behind them. You'll see that as you look in this trailer, there's a picture of a baby, of funny moments for the project team. We always kept this wall where we could put up fun pictures and come in and be like, oh yeah, these are memories. These are cool things. It's a part of that team building. As you move around, this center portion of the trailer was for like the structural trade partner, the framing trade partners, other trade partners. It was kind of like a mobile area. You see the right to know area, the kitchen, the permitting, the safety posting. And one of the interesting things that most people don't recognize, there are these little signs hanging from the ceiling. These were the cultural principles that we followed as a team, and they were always there reminding us. Here in the front, we had Lourdes, who was the project administrator, who would do the orientations, other administration, welcome people. The conference room over to the right with the onboarding, welcoming screen. Anybody could find anything about the project. We have the whiteboard over here. This is something that's really cool. The trade partners, this is the mechanical contractor, plumbing contractor, and the electrician and mechanical piping, med gas, lab gas. They were all here in the trailer with us, open, able to come over and coordinate and talk right there with us. And when we needed to come over here to where Brent and Jake are standing, where we planned together, we did our schedules together, and we started to huddle together, we literally would just come from both sides of the room. Now, the other thing that I thought was really cool is that we treated it like we were at war, and we're at war with waste and variation, not with each other. So we had these war planning tables where we had whiteboard just attached down to the table, and you can draw and plan and work with your trade partners and work as a collaborative team. You've got stickies there. We also had these plotted sheets that were covered with this expo covering, so you could do it against the backdrop of the structure, the grid lines, and it was just a really neat environment. All of these spaces were intentionally designed so that we could do the things that we needed to do and have the kind of flow. The point is, when we design a project site, we get to design it in a way that we can be happy, that we can get everything out of our heads, that we can have the right kinds of conversations, and that we can have the right kind of flow. I mean, even the location of the desk was designed here. So when I mentioned in pre-construction, hey, we as a contractor, we designed the trailer, and people are like, what? Design the trailer? What in the world does that have to do with anything? No, it has to do with a lot. We're going to spend more time here than we are at home. So remember that last time you put in a barbecue, you cleaned your pool, you mowed your lawn. Why do you do that at home? Because it's inviting. It's where you live. Well, guess what? We spend more time here than we do at home. So let's get rid of the dirty, nasty, brown, uncluttered, unorganized, lonely, garbage trailers that we're used to having in construction and have actually a nice place to go work. The entryway. The entryway always communicates how we run our job. That is a key consideration. Wayfinding signage. People do not want to go around and guess where they're supposed to go. In fact, it makes human beings nervous. Where do you go for orientation? Where do you go for your meetings? Where do we go on site? Where do we go for parking? So not only your entryway, but your wayfinding signage. Do people know how to get around and be successful? Then your actual conference rooms. Your conference rooms are a big deal. We're probably looking for for a whiteboard. We're looking for 2 TVs, even if you're in a small trailer. We're looking for your schedule on the wall. We're looking for logistics maps. We're looking for your plan views. You want to have that trailer just really look nice in your conference room areas so that people can look at and coordinate and talk about the key aspects of that job in that space. Here's the thing to remember. If we can't draw it, we can't build it. Scott Berg, a general superintendent for Hensel Phelps, told me that. If you can't draw it, you can't build it. So if you're in a conference room, if you can't draw out your plan and you can't get that working in a direction that will help you to make sure you're successful in the field, then you're not ready to go build it. You know, some people can go wing it sometimes, but it's really just not a great practice. If you can't draw it, you can't build it is usually the motto that I like to go by.